Tune in, Tokyo. Tokyo, tune in. The Tokyo, tune in. Tune in. Sorry, I can't quite hear you. Here, let me check the thermometer. Yep, there you are, Captain. So, anyway, got a clown commission from a burlesque dancer who's a stripper. And so, unbeknownst to her, I decided I'm going to paint a nude female clown. Yeah, or a topless one. Because, I'm in that stage where boobs are by far more important than dating. Boobs seem to be the whole reason for dating. Basically, everything kind of boils down to boobs. And, oh yeah, I'm doing some speed painting here. Let's start this. Oh! So I've been, what have I been doing? I've been, lots of stuff since my viewers have watched me. Lots of stuff has gone on. But I cracked code, and I visually had cracked it before the night of my jump years ago. Like I knew what it was, but now I've geometrically come to a completion on it. I think I know right where my mind was, and it just took a long time to really kind of hammer it out. And so I'm happy about that. And I figured it was the difference. It's where your ideal universe, it's weird to say your ideal universe, right? By the way, I'm competing with Joe Rogan's live podcast today. It's going on right now. How do I compete? People might wonder, how does Toss Pook, in fact, compete with Joe Rogan and viewers? Who knows? Who knows why? It's a horse race there between the two of us. Might be able to beat him on this one. Anyway, yeah, so it was basically attempting to find a geometric relationship between ideal or platonic forms, like triangles and such, and the real world, right? The real world being the empirically objective world, and then conflating necessarily the real world with the ideal world, and not even wrong-headedly doing that, right? Doing that on purpose, like a type of giving yourself over to the belief that, in fact, the knowledge of platonic forms, the knowledge of one's knowledge as a geometric formation, in a way dominates what one senses in the real world at times. But that had always been my thrust against metaphysical naturalism, right? Metaphysical naturalism being that one denotes the world, examines the world, assumes the world in the excluded middle amongst people, and then behaves in what they think is the most rational situation there, right? And so anyway, all I know is in my mind, I was going over, what do you call it? Besides nutty as shit. I was going over in my mind, that doesn't look good, how, yeah, the idea of two-dimensional pyramids coming together, forming, Star of David, and then turning into a three-dimensional Star of David or a Macabre shape, and then how a pentagram, 5 stars, right, become mixed in with this 6-star unit, right? In terms of what happens when one imagines star shapes in 3 dimensions. And somewhere there was this clip And what the application of this it was basically kind of like a sigil in witchery or something like that, right? Like some people don't buy into that. They think Hogwarts is just a bunch of hogwash, so to speak, and they can if they want. But anyway, the whole point is I was trying to go over what this geometric slide looked like in order that somebody sees a shift in geometry in their mind the way that I was seeing it in my mind, as if that had some sort of importance. Anyway, that's nothing, but that was something that happened within the last 24 hours. I was up all night sketching it. I can't really describe what it is I'm saying other than, I mean, a lot of people have watched me for some time, and I'm not certain they can follow what I'm saying, and I'm not actually certain I'm capable of describing what it is, but it has something to do with a type of, call it like a Masonic magic or Masonic practice, some sort of backed into pedagogical domain of insight that yielded something amazing in my world. And I think that was the time that I realized that like everything that happened on the night of the jump was me becoming aware that the entire universe is in fact a matrix, that the universe isn't just full of information out there, it's full of information for you out there. Like you're not separate from the information, right? So it yields something akin to the insights of a schizophrenic, and yet I think those are important. Anyway, I was also listening to Valus by Philip K. Dick, who did Blade Runner and such. And the thing about his writing is he's right on point with the things that I went through. And it seemed as if he was imbued with some sort of huge insight. Of course, he ended up yielding big stories instead of clown women with Japanese fans and boobs, clowns. By the way, I'm cooking rice and getting coffee also. Thanks for all the 0 viewers I have so far. That's exactly what I needed. Just do a slow boil in the rice department. Can we get that going? I think this will be one of those long, drawn out, nobody ever watches that sort of videos, you know, like my regular MO. But I'm hoping that changes, and I'll tell you why. I'm hoping it changes because I'm going to be editing videos, and then I'll be able to actually show people what geometries I'm referring to, what the crossover boundaries are between the imagined world, the platonic world, one's mind is an eidetic realm, and then something like an objective subjectivity, right? In the discourse of one's subjective, we have the objective. And then that might sound ironic or contradictory, but it's precisely that shift where the real world is broken into fractured geometries and understood as such that one can see themselves within a matrix in their universe. I mean, how many times do I have to tell you guys the world isn't what you think it is? I'm telling you. But no more wild goose chases for me, you know. I don't have a vehicle anymore. I'm using Ubers, and I had a scooter. Still have the scooter, it's just it has a flat, and I need a particular tool before I fix the flat. And anyway, so what to go on about in my little update. You know, these videos are probably for me in the nursing home or when I get back to my home planet and see my doppelganger group, then I can solve everything there. I think the government's tracking me. I think planes are following me. I'm not a paranoid schizophrenic any longer. Just schizo-affected. But you have to go through that. You have to go through an acceptance of a complete breach of reality, one's complete breach of reality, and move within it, actually practice believing in that in order to actually get or shore up or have one's knowledges of the other dimensions in the universe, such that, you know, everything, you know, you could say, oh, the phrase, everything has an equal and opposite reaction, right? Well, psychologically, what is the equal and opposite reaction to one's causing or being in great pain and suffering? What is that? Where does that equal and opposite psychological reaction occur? Just an open-ended question. Okay, enough of that jazz, right? Yeah, this is coming along just fine. I'm already at 10 minutes. So the game plan, right, is to record a whole painting and then minimize it to a minute and put it on Instagram. Kind of up my game tad quite a bit on Instagram. And it'll be this painting. Since my Instagram lately has been conservative brunette nudes, with a little bit of surrealism on it. Anyway, y'all can check it out at Mike Fail Art on Instagram. MikeFahl Art. Instagram. Okay, what else has been happening? Just finished Derrida's Spectres of Lamanite. Derrida's Spectres of Lamanite Appeal. That's my painting. Derrida's Spectres of Marx. And that was a good book to read and both listen to. He's really going over somebody named Steiner that was with Marx and Steiner's critiques. Derrida is really good at talking about the discussion, not only about an author's work, but about who the author is working with and what it is that author's inspiration is. So Derrida goes at length about Mark's love for Shakespeare. I'm going to pick up the pace somehow on this brush stroke. And how Shakespeare had a whole thing about one's morality, right, and mortality, but mostly talking about a ghost, a specter, a phantasm, a haunt. And by ghost, by haunt, he means obsession, right? In French, the word he's using, halis, means obsession, but in English, it's more closely translated to haunt. Then he's able to supplement the translation, or the translator is able to utilize the term haunt and ghost and specter to generate kind of an overarching thema. And that thema is how the haunt or the specter that follows Marx into the future, and how that is akin to Shakespeare. The ghost enters, it leaves, and it enters again. Right? It's this sense of this kind of ebb and flow of one's relationship with ideas and even one's memory, right? And And so he goes on to admonish kind of neoliberalism and the idea that Marxism is more or less like a type of idealism in the future that more than likely will never come to pass. Like Derrida eschews Marxism, meaning that he admonishes it to some real extent as he's describing it, as he's admiring Marx as a poet. He's admonishing to some extent his description, right? And by the end of the text, which goes against this narrative of postmodern neo-Marxist thought, right? If Derrida is like the kingpin of postmodernism, his writing on Marx itself does not yield a positive reference towards Marx. As a matter of fact, one of the bigger critics of Derrida lately, popular critics, is Jordan Peterson, who assumes somehow that Derrida has this infinity of interpretation on elements, and that he's unaware of the limitations of life. And in this book, page 209 in The Spectres of Marx at the bottom, Derrida does what I believe he does in other texts, right? Since I've kept this MO, or since he's keeping his MO, he actually does speak of kind of the infinity of spectral interpretations. One has a spectrum, like a rainbow. You can dice and splice that anywhere you want, as many times as you want, and talk about where that is, right? Well, what was lauded against Derrida by Jordan Peterson is somehow that Derrida was not, that Derrida, when speaking about all the infinite choices in one's life, gave no reductionary account. And so Jordan Peterson is just a hack, like he's a thief of Derrida, right? So Derrida, in this text, he talks about the infinite interpretations in which to fetishize a commodity, right? When one is producing, like the labor theory of value, right? It's supposed to grant a type of value based on a worker's labor, but the construction of a commodity, if your commodity is beds, I think he used, right? Then whoever's manufacturing the base of the bed is going through a different relationship with the object than whoever's doing the bed knobs or the backboard or the frame, right? And so the idea is that the term fetish is the one's exact relationship to the production of a kind of a particular unique object, right? And so the idea of what it means, right? The ghost of that fetish, right? Like what trails that is this spectrum of what is considered a evaluation of money itself that is somehow wrapped around a particular and very unique creation of a commodity. And so the ghost of the fetish is in my view, my understanding, laid across the spectrum, right? It's not really to be delineated. It's just trying to say what guides somebody that's creating a widget to grant a labor value to that particular widget's production, especially if the widget itself is a type of chimera, right? It's like a built object that's different than, I don't know quite how to say it. Like it's built of many differing parts. Anyway, and so, but the cool thing about this book, right, is that he's basically saying, you know, like the idea of, you know, you're either buying an object or you're buying a service, right? And so Derrida or Marx kind of breaks it down to use value, the use of the commodity, or the exchange, the value of the service. But it's different. It's also broken down differently in use versus exchange. I was kind of going over that with Bart Gordon in my video, like he was asking me about that, particularly based on my book on embedded contradiction. Anyway, what was I going to say on that? Oh, just that. What to say about that? What to say about embedded? Oh, okay, yeah. So, as I throw myself off the rails again, and I'm not certain why I particularly have a fetish of painting paintings while I'm talking, and maybe that's actually one of the worst things I could do. I might be better off in listener mode than in painting mode. Meaning for the sake of the production of the painting itself, I should perhaps give up recording myself, splitting my energies. But somehow, in some way, it seems to maybe not matter all that much either. And hell, maybe I both paint better and speak better when I am painting, even though I derail myself topically often. So anyway, though. So in this book on 209 at the bottom, you know, Spectres of Marx, Derrida talks about this particular ghostly spectrum of this fetishization of a commodity. And he says, well, there's at least 3 ways in which we can, I think he says, reduce this or speak on this, right? Which that comment of reduction from, like, making what is important within an infinite spectrum and narrowing it down is exactly what Jordan Peterson says Derrida does not do when it comes to the descriptions of the ways of living. But I believe, once again, that Jordan Peterson is actually a thief of Derrida. He steals Derrida's work and Derrida's approach, and then he applies it somewhat to his own description, like his own work, claiming it kind of underhandedly, like professing it as such. So in a way, he's stealing Derrida's techniques, even stealing some exact things from Derrida, and then passing it off as his own, and defaming Derrida at the same time while doing it. So it's really a cheap sort of style swipe, but he's pretty good at it. He's commodified. Okay, so anyway, all I know is the book is really quite nice. And if anyone tells you that postmodernists are trying to destroy the West with Marxism, have them read the great postmodernist Derrida's book, and they will see how much he adores Marx without adoring the end goal of Marx. He basically states that it's a teleological drive, like an ongoing notion and an extension. Like Marx took the Hegelian dialectic of master-servant and basically moved it into the bourgeois and the proletariat. And, you know, as a maintenance of that particular dichotomy, yeah, like that's what Marx did, was he took the Hegelian dialectic and he basically brought it over to the proletariat and the bourgeois, with the hope that the dialectic itself, the dichotomy, or the relationship between the servant and the master, or the proletariat and the bourgeois, would invert. right? Where Derrida's deconstruction is specifically much more about taking these binaries, specific types of binaries, right, and finding out which one form fits more to another. Like you could say, is up a type of downness, or is downness a type of upness, right? Is optimism a type of pessimism, or is pessimism a type of optimism? You might not get too far on some of those, but if you say something like, is life a type of death, or is death a type of life, right? And you use that. Well, one could say, well, life is a type of death, meaning we first start from inorganic matter and we become organic, right? From nothing, almost ex nihilo, we become something. And so that becoming is kind of opens the idea that life stems from death, and so the life death pair would make death or non-life more dominant than life in a deconstructive fashion, right? So then one tries to find other dialectical pairs and see whether or not it makes sense to attempt to deconstruct those or shelve one inside of another. It's kind of like the Russian dolls, right? It's kind of like this box, right? You get this here box, you got that box, and inside the box, you got this other box, and so you got that box, and then you got this box, take that box off, and then you got inside of that box, so you got another box. So the whole idea of deconstruction is not just pulling apart and putting shit back together. That and this, right? And inside of this, you guys don't want to see what's in there. That would be looking like in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. Can't show you guys that. That's a secret. Anyway, so there's that. Okay, so what else is going on? Yeah, I've been having a hard time. Kind of had one of my last shows, and the show space itself got shut down. And then the guy that was housing the host show space, in a way, accused me of partially, if not completely, somehow being responsible for him losing his lease because he was sleeping in the place. And he says that when he picked up his deposit, that the owner of the space told him that the owner knows that he was sleeping in the space, using it as board space, not just a business space, because of something I said to another artist, which may or may not be the case. Anyway, so that brought me out a tad to here. And so anyway, I put him up. He's still being put up in my place as he's transitioning. Kind of not really charging him anything for, a week or two of hanging out and trying to get his shit back together. But yeah, the last art show kind of fell to shit. Meaning the owner also canceled our show and said, you're not going to be having this show. And so we just scooted up the date and attempted to have the show, but nobody was prepared for it, for that shift. And it was midweek anyway. And so I think like 4 people showed up. Meanwhile, I had fallen off my scooter that day and smacked my foot really hard and ended up going to the hospital and spending a night in the hospital during the second art show. Anyway, my point is that I'm a little depressed about even doing art, right? It's like art's got me down, just like I say in my documentary, which if you haven't seen my documentary yet, make certain you go to MikeVale.com and you take a look at that documentary. Boy, that thing's going places. It tells you. Except for I might have to still just writing up the paper to sue the producer. Should call him the producer. I'm the producer. He produced it, but I'm the producer. Right? I commissioned the guy. I helped direct some scenes and direct the art and gave him the space, gave him a lot. And we even agreed to certain things and he even contracted to certain things. And then he tries to be a dick. He tries to steal the whole thing, saying that it's his, just like any good fucking asshole would do. It's kind of like, I don't know. I can't imagine it, right? You open your portfolio, you give all your time, you give your energy, you give over a willingness to friends and family to be interviewed, and you come to some sort of general agreement about what's going on, all the while putting away what it is you originally hired someone to do in the first place, which is simply record your art, maybe record you talking about it, each piece for a few minutes, and just doing a quick index of your art, right? Well, this whole shitload of indexing became a whole shitload of other people interviews, which then became a whole narrative structure based on me with a big plot line and blah, 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 which did in fact yield the documentary. But then the guy tries to own the whole thing, claiming the whole thing is his art. A depiction of my art is his art, right? Anyway, so it's a bunch of shit. So I got to file a lawsuit against the guy, and that's got me a little bit bummed. Little coffee sippage here. What did I do with that? Oop, looks like there's some paint in the coffee. Damn, I'm gonna have to drink that anyway. It's not drinking. So this clown, the point up here, she's going to all be in clown paint, right? And then the boobs will just be like fleshly, regular human boobs, Caucasian human boobs. And then what? Then what's going to happen? Caucasian human boobs. We get a 385. All right, and you're live on the air. How can I help you?
Hello.
Oh, is this somebody I know? All right. Well, we may be getting the guest here soon. Anyway, and so what now? What now? Oh yeah. And then I'll call it a breather, right? This will be the breather. This is as close as I get to doing an Al Franken impersonation, right? Quick, throw me in jail. How dare I get close to my own painting of a depiction of boobs. I don't even think Al Franken even touched the vest that was over the woman. It was merely hovering his hands over the woman that got him to release his position through shame as a senator. Maybe he was in the House. I don't know. I think he was a senator. But how dare, right? I think the state of the world is fucking mad. But it is as if, like, even when I was a kid, there was that idea of the Force, not like in the Star Wars, but the movement of power. And then when you learn about the Federal Reserve and the government, and that there is this solidification of power on a national end, and beyond that, there's a, what do you say? Not just a solidification of power, but a I had a sense of rebellion when I was in my youth, right? And you want to care for all the people that would suffer heavily in times of a type of a revolution, right? You do, like, I don't want, grandma out in the street, right? I don't want people to suffer. And yet I don't want certain people to have ongoing, indefinite claims of ownership on everyone else in humanity, right? And ultimately, even though I think the left is stigmatized the wrong way, like I think they have the right movement and the wrong ideas to support the movement, right? And it looks like potentially there's grave damages that are going to happen as more momentum continues, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about that. I don't believe there's too many people that are inculcated with the dogma of unity, and I think it's the sense of unity. It's there's something that's impassioning the public, but how they're unifying and under what banner they're unifying, I think is what the problem is. Let's say on that. Great.
What up?
Yeah.
The fancy fan.
Live recording on both cameras. Yep. It's a fact. It's a fact. Jack. And Jack, I believe the empirical evidence explains the way in which we sense the universe. Anytime I use the word Jack now, it's associated with Jack. Jack on Discord.
Jack be nimble.
Jack be somewhat nimble. Yep. What's the word? Any word?
There's an art show at that paint store.
The paint
I
store.
brought you to yesterday or whatever.
The spray paint store?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, as I tried to get more paint there, but it was closed. But there's people chilling in the back.
Oh.
So I was like, yeah, I mean, it's closed, but there's an art show in a couple hours at 8.
Well,
So,
you planning on doing it?
well, I want to go. Want to check it out?
Probably. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Might as well. Just lamenting, going over my book, going over politics, talking about shit to all 2 viewers that I had. People like normals that come in, they watch for about 5 minutes and they bail.
People like, all right, enough of those big manga titties.
That guy's just talking smack. He keeps talking about Al Franken. Anyway, but the burlesque dancer that kind of commissions this type of stuff, she's just a sweetheart. Really,
Just some
really cool.
sponges.
And he doesn't like her. He thinks she's acting like an alpha female, and she should stay in her beta domain. Or some sort of weird crap like that. Oh yeah, we went to this place called White Party. It was fun. I thought it was fun. And Skin Cold thought it was overkill in the money department. Wouldn't want to pay for that kind of pleasure each year because he finds it in southern areas. Cheaper areas.
Pleasure.
And he found no pleasure.
No pleasure.
He didn't get his rocks off.
No, I mean, it was fun, but
If it was fun, there was pleasure.
it was worth it. I mean, yeah, I guess I just wouldn't have gotten as drunk next time.
Well,
That girl, she texted me yesterday. Good to see you. And I'm like, yeah. I was on a couple. Napster treated you well.
The Napster.
The Snapster.
Oh, yeah. Keeping up with the peppermint schnapps. Fell off the wagon. Drank a shitload of peppermint schnapps. I never drank that much shit. That was good shit, though. It was like a pleasure to drink. I thought it was fucking great. I mean, I don't know. I don't know when exactly to fall off the wagon or how hard to fall off the wagon, but at times, especially if I know I'm going to be on my
got
feet.
back on the wagon.
Oh, really?
I'm like, God damn it, I'm not drinking again. Ever.
Okay, we'll see you at 8. If you fall off the wagon by 8. Mm-hmm. This is the chick with the big titty. And I've been painting for almost 40 minutes. Tell you.
I got these
Now I got 0 watchers.
right up here, smack talk. Some slippers. This one dude outside it wasn't a dude. It was like tranny at this outside the paint store, the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Like, this one is saying cute.
Well, they're so cute.
And I'm like, thanks. Oh, fuck.
I'll be transitioning in a year. We'll see you then.
I might be a tranny in a year. You fucking dick. No way.
You can't help it.
I'm
You're
a non-conforming tranny.
You're not naughty by nature. You're tranny by nature.
I'm
Tranny
a
by
non-conforming
nature.
tranny.
Yeah.
I don't feel like transitioning into my real nature.
There's only been one tranny that told me I shouldn't use the term tranny. Yeah, I guess there's been a couple. The 2 trannies, and then a 3rd tranny that didn't care.
Quick boil in some rice.
Yeah.
Do a quick fucking flash boil.
It's got water in it still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
You should cover it.
No, I shouldn't. I cook rice the way I know how. And it's perfect every time.
How long do you cook it
I cook it fast and hard. No, not in this case. In this case, I'm cooking it slowly. So I don't have to get off my chair and watch it while I'm getting some painting done. Get some painting done. Anyway, and, okay, so politics. You had the whole right movement, attacking all the right, because they don't know how to articulate the notion of intersectionality as a general spillover philosophy. And I think the left's general concern is about stuff that goes without saying. It goes without saying that you should have human dignity and decency, right? And yet, you get someone like the Cortez, 28-year-old senator, calling for this future wealth being pulled, away from the wealthy. And then you get the right going, oh, that's never going to happen. And even the Democrats know that's not going to happen because Americans believe in capitalism. And yet it is weird after reading that book on Marx, because there's this sensation that the relationship to money is really kind of a conditioned ghost that we have that's reified socially again and again, where one generally, when they have $1 in their pocket, they think they know roughly what $1 is worth. And then we're all on this scramble to acquire more objects or more services that goes as an antithesis to the soul itself. But it also, for some people, I guess it's how they define their life or their livelihood. And the majority of people, plus you almost, I want to say have to have it, as you all know, in order to, have kids and feed yourself and get from point to point. Unless you're the Ubermensch like myself, or you're divine, then you just go through life very quickly, and the world and the universe will throw money at you. It'll just kind of show up if you get in the flow, which makes money just like dust. It's hard to get in that flow. A lot of homeless people think they're in the flow, but they're schizoid. Like, oh, I'll just get along. I don't need a job. People give me money. I'll get along. And a lot of them do until they freeze to death. See, these were going to be gloves. Those are fanning gloves. 43 minutes. Look at them. Buzz. That looks great. She looks fabulous.
I don't know about take you to blackout.
Well, I don't know which woman you met at the fancy party that called you, but
That one girl from boxing, remember? We saw her for like a brief second.
Oh, you did?
It's like, that's not right when I lost my wallet. I noticed it was missing. So my mind was focused on other areas.
Oh.
And then I geeked out to go find it, and I found it real quick, and I didn't ever find her again.
He was like, God, you were a drunken asshole. I wanted to go out with you anyway.
Yeah.
You weren't so much an ass.
I wasn't an ass. I was just fucking preoccupied in my own.
I know. I was there. I watched you.
You watched me fumble the bag.
You were kind of like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, doing this weird dance. Then you'd sit down, you do a little kick your leg up dance. I don't know. I met a lot of good people. It was cool.
I think I met some people, but I don't know if they were good people.
Well, but I bumped into an old friend from a while back, and he told me, unfortunately, that he got divorced a year ago, and he was just trying to keep his shit together. But he was clearly, after I found out about that, I kind of relooked at the guy and thought, God, maybe this guy's mega depressed now. He doesn't have his wife as his,
His rock.
his sidekick, his rock.
He dropped his rock.
Yeah. Well, and who knows? But she was pretty young. He was older, but she wasn't that young.
Oh, yeah.
But they always looked like they were just having a great time, and they were together for years and years. And then, I guess, they broke up last year, so he's a little bummed. It's a pity. Those things are pity, as that tells you. Huh? Oh, you're gonna give me some sort of advice.
More.
What this?
Oh, the deformity on the inside.
You mean this?
The other side.
Yeah, you're dying. Yeah, never. Just say what you want to say. I don't give a shit. You can say
Tearing you apart, Michael.
Derek Barkle, you are a critic, you. Look at that. Look at that. See, that should be right. That's going to be all clown makeup that far down. How do we do that? I'm going to call this the breather. The breathers. Take a breather.
Taking a breather.
I'm sure you do. I'll hear you smacking off to it in the back later.
The Hooters. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm going to take a fucking picture. No, man. Her nipples are too high for my taste.
Yeah, you like them like down here.
I like them right where they should be.
Well, that's fine.
Well, your rice it's got water in it, but it's.
Why don't you pull it out? Why don't you turn that off for me? Just let it sit there. No, all the way off. Turn it off. Yep. I know you got your little way, your little Puerto Rican way of cooking rice. Mama taught you good. Steam that shit, you don't boil it. Yeah, I realize, I'm better in a group than I am in my monologues. Who wants to listen to my monologue anyway? Just turn on videos and stuff. Discord's out, so I've done. Some reason my group looks like they lost their server. I don't know where the crowd is.
Your girlfriend is the groupie. She's just trying to get it. Saying I want the bag.
You can't be singing shit on my videos.
Ruining your publicity.
That's the only bicep I might check. Otherwise, this looks great.
The other banana looks real good.
Yeah, what? Okay, now what? Now. Let's get the basics.
That's what I saw today.
Sam, Andrea, Valkyrie,
No.
Ashlyn,
No.
John Wayne,
No.
John Cooper,
Dream girl.
Dream of Valkyrie.
Wow. No.
Oh, that is it. No.
No.
Oh, you saw.
Dude, how many dream girls you got?
I don't know. I got lots of dream girls.
Oh my
Do you have any more dream girls?
You should have one more. She already kicked her to the curb.
Well, I don't know who you know that I know that you think that I have a dream girl.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
then I'll forget about it because if she's not a dream girl, maybe I'll just pick her up. Maybe I'll just loop on in there. Be like, yeah, Mike already forgot about you.
Oh, Sarah. You went to the store and saw Sarah.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. I didn't. Well, I saw her. I didn't talk to her.
No wonder. While I paint big boob women will just show up in the
Just
world.
throw a couple of moles on there and you got this.
Moles on the boobs. Got herself a dream girl. Anyway. Yep. So, what do I got here? What do I need? What am I doing? I think I do have to paint over this part. Even though that was kind of going to be where the clown thing was. It's all going to be white. That's what we're doing. That's where we're going. That's how we're taking these folks. Yep. So I had this model. She took me out yesterday. Had a good time. Had a shitload of laughs. And then, of course, she was going to come over, wondering why she couldn't. I said, because I'm putting up this guy for a while, and he's in the studio, so we can't paint you. And she's like, wah, wah, wah. And I'm like, wah, wah.
I wanted to show you my bunghole. You turned me down.
Cole has been here. He wants to talk about ass. Cole, in case you guys didn't know, has an asshole fetish. Not an ass fetish, not a tit fetish, an asshole fetish. And it's okay. Some people got their fetishes. It just happens to be his. It's cool, man. He's into it. He likes it. He even farts a lot, quite often, too often, because it has something to do with his fetish for assholes. I think he was a kid, and his parents really smiled big when he took his first few poopies in the diaper and tickled him, and he thought it was great, and then that turned into an adult, big overblown adult.
She's got these overgrown forearms or overgrown.
Yeah, well, it's like, give me a baby, you're trouble with me. Only 52 minutes in. We're going to have to cut this short, folks. Lenin and Stalin and such. Communism, Marxism, leftism, rightism, capitalism. What's that?
You upload that to Facebook?
No.
On Facebook Live?
No, to YouTube.
Facebook Live.
I should do more Facebook Lives. I'd get some more traction there, man.
It's all about attraction.
Anyway, if you guys need a paint, you know, send me an email. Go to my site, send me an email, send me a message. Get me while my prices is still cheap. You know, before I boom, boom, baby, boom, boom, in the world. Boom, boom, boom. Actually, I think I'm going to do a green nose instead of a red nose real quick. We'll paint that.
It'll make your red tone even better, yes. Good thoughts, Michael. Good thought.
Thank you. I am the clown master. I'm the maestro. What can I say? You know, it's not too hard being me. It's a little hard sometimes. It's not too extra hard. I'm good that way. I feel good that way. Oh yeah, did some stand-up comedy, man. I got laughs. Big time laughs. Oh yeah, you guys should see it someday. I'll link you. Oh, it was perfect. Oh yeah. Cole on the other hand, he just told a story and got off the stage. He got up there. It was good that he got up there. Oh yeah, it was good.
Good try.
My stuff was what go over people's head, most of them. But some of them, the smart ones, they got it. Oh yeah. Some of those comedians, they're numbskulls. They don't quite get shit. They're too busy smelling their hand after they wipe their ass. Cole, you're into that?
That realm.
What's
You're
that?
like, oh yeah. I use one sheet of toilet paper so we can serve toilet paper. I like to smell the particles on my fingers, then I wash them.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's where welcome was a day.
He's like a fucking, he's on.
Boobs.
Boobs on coke. Banana arms.